Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide. And today we have a very special guest. We're mixing it up a little bit. We have one of our favorite franchisors from Premium Service Brands, Luke Schulte. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Thanks. Got a little tongue tied there. I'm looking forward to this. We've been talking about having you on the show. And if you can just fill in the audience, we have a lot of first-time business owners, people looking at franchises. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you, get involved with Premium Service Brands?
Perfect. So, kind of the long of the short story. I always joke with people as they go through the process. I have an art degree, which means I'm qualified to ask you if you would like that in tall, grande, or venti. So, needless to say, I went to art school. After college, decided I wanted to move to Chicago, frankly, and took the first opportunity that would cover my rent. And my first experience happened to be with a commercial cleaning franchise. So with that business model, I was working for a franchisee, but in the way that model worked, we were also a franchisor. So really cool. From where I am now, I get to see both sides of the equation. After that, moved back home to get married and to start a family, worked with some larger corporations like Wells Fargo, and then found myself working with small business again. And like I'm sure a lot of your candidates got to a point where I said, okay, well, I want to look at what can I do for myself. And my uncle, who had always been a business mentor of mine, was involved with a window cleaning franchise of all places. And he said, why don't you come talk to us? And I very distinctly remember telling him, yeah, maybe. Let's see. I kind of went down that franchising route before.
Right.
I don't know. And I was amazed. I went and I talked with these guys. Wonderful business, reoccurring revenue stream model, just as simple of a business as you could find. Really fell in love with service-based franchises. And from that point on, I've been, working with service-based franchises and helping them find new franchisees to bring into their model. And frankly, that's what led me here to Premium Service Brands. Not only having one brand, but having the power of 7 brands and leveraging those 7 brands to help all of our franchisees see continued success.
Oh, wow. No, that's great. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. That's something I talk about, coming from the investment world. We talk about the investment firm I was in years ago. We talked about the family of mutual funds, a family of investments. And no matter what, there's going to be similarities in how we manage money and things like that in various asset classes. And it sounds like Premium Service Brands, they do it a little bit different. Actually, they simplify the model, if I'm not mistaken, to where of all the brands, they're utilizing a lot of the same technology and marketing, the same call center. So can you talk to us a little bit about just what Premium Service Brands offers just as a whole, so that regardless of the actual franchise, what they're getting, and what are the benefits of dealing with a parent company like that?
Sure. So we've got 7 brands. We have 360 Painting, we have Made Right, we have Renew Crew, we have Rubbish Works, we have ProLift Garage Doors, we have Handyman Pro, and it's just really an amazing business model that we have, because what we've done is we've taken the success with 360 Painting. I also forgot to mention Kitchen Wise. Sorry, just realized I only got through 6 there. But what we've realized is with 360 Painting, which was the original brand that we had, we learned how to market to our customers. We learned, more importantly, who our customer was. We know very specifically in each market, who are we catering to. Learned how to market to them, learned how to convert that for our franchisees with a contact center, and really built out some systems and operational platforms. And when we looked at the marketplace as a whole, we realized that with the 6 other brands that we now have, hopefully more will be coming on into our family of brands here shortly. But what we realized is that we share the same customer. And by sharing the same customer and sharing the same marketing activities and sharing the same technologies on the back end, if we brought everything into the same umbrella, covered everybody with all the same things, we could help leverage that. So if we had an emerging brand, for example, that maybe only had a handful of franchisees, we knew that we had these very mature systems that could back up that emerging brand, so that for our franchisees or the candidates that are looking at our brands, they could really build it out to be something much larger. So normally what we'll hear is we'll hear about names or franchises that people know, love, and trust. But the problem is they've been around for a long time.
Right.
And if you want this one little section of Austin, Texas, perfect. We got it for you, but this is the last one. With what we're doing, now we can leverage a mature system with emerging brands. So that gives our franchisees more opportunities to scale and to grow with one brand, or that gives them the opportunity to kind of grow and stack in other ways. And this is something that we're doing that's a little different. It's all about leveraging those expenses and those opportunities. So,
Right.
for example, in any business, I don't care what it is, you have two headaches. How do we make the phone ring, and who's going to do the work for us?
Mm-hmm.
And what we've realized is we can leverage those customer acquisition costs. We can even leverage some management staff or some employees to grow a larger business by keeping one territory and adding supplementary brands
Mm-hmm.
onto that one territory. And that's something that's really different, because in my coming up on 14 years worth of experience within franchising, typically the only way to scale and to grow and to build a larger business than what you would have expected would be to add on other territories or other cities.
Right.
And with the world that we live in now, being able to stay into one marketplace and really, we call it owning the home, and to really own the home and do all the services for a homeowner, it just makes a lot of sense from a financial standpoint and also from a business standpoint.
That's a great, very, very good point. I mean, I'm a homeowner, and I know that when I'm dealing with one vendor coming to the home, if I have to deal with five, it's 5 different contacts and phone numbers. But if I could deal with one person, maybe it's a franchisee that owns 5 brands in the one area I live in, makes it so much simpler, just logistically setting everything up, making sure people come at the same time. So I see that as a major benefit to the customer, right? It makes complete.
Well, absolutely, because there's 2 things, and I always kind of joke about this whenever I'm talking with people. I walk into a grocery store, or let's say I was buying a refrigerator. I walk into Home Depot, I walk into wherever that place may be, and I see a refrigerator that's the color I like, that a brand that I know, and I'm like, I want that refrigerator right there.
Right.
My wife very lovingly nods her head, smiles, pulls out her iPhone, and says, "Okay, well, we'll see," and does research on things. So marketing has now become something that's so it's so fast. It's been Uberized, it's been Amazonized. So you're going through and you're looking at social media, you're looking at what do people say on Google, you're looking at all these things, which we've built out systems to help manage that process and help our franchisees get that right traction in the marketplace. But the reality of what's happening there is my wife is saying, okay, great, I need to establish trust in this product.
Right.
And it takes time. But to your point, if someone's already trust, that Premium Service Brands and 360 Painting is going to do a good job painting their home. That trust is already there to say, hey, we'd love to do your handyman services, or we'd love to clean your house with another one of our sister brands. That's the hard part. And frankly, that's where it even gets into the point of taking pricing out of the equation for a decision maker. So we love it for those reasons. And really in today's day and age where everybody's been Uberized and Amazonized, to have a platform like that where we can immediately have that trust and rapport with the customer really puts us ahead.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for the franchisee as well, they have that customer. So you're not going out there finding, you buy a different territory. And there's pros and cons, obviously. You have to make that decision. Is it additional territory, same brand? Do I just add brands to my existing territory? When you're adding brands, it's different services, but now you have that customer. Now it's a quick upsell. We also offer cleaning. We also offer this for service versus that. So I think makes it a lot easier, because client acquisition could get expensive if you don't have the right systems in place. So I think that's a huge plus.
Yeah, and to give you an example, we've got one franchisee that that is in Virginia. He's got a Handyman Pro, he has a 360 painting, and he has a Made-Right. And what's amazing about this is he'll go into the home and he'll say, "Hey, I would love to paint your house." Let's say the lead came in for 360 painting, but prior to painting your house, I have a handyman that can come in, finish up the trim work, patch the drywall, do all that stuff. While he's there doing that, I don't know if your house is anything like mine, but amid this pandemic that we're in, my wife is spending more time in the house, and the checklist of the honeydew list keeps getting longer
It gets
and longer.
Yeah.
And so while the handyman's there, now they accomplish those 10 or 12 other things that is maybe on that list. So we've doubled down with that customer. And then what he's doing is he's actually offering a free house cleaning as a closing gift. And what's amazing is so with those three brands, they've touched in customers. You have project work that's coming in with handyman or with 360 painting. You have maybe some emergency services or things that just need to be done with Handyman Pro. And then we have this wonderful reoccurring revenue stream that's now happening with Made-Right, because if we offer that free cleaning, they fall in love with having a clean house. And, oh, by the way, how much would it be if you came every other week to clean my house? So we have all those platforms that we love. But the other thing that we're doing, again, when we talk about these technologies, with them all being the same, it's really easy for that customer, for that franchisee to say, all right, I'm going to log into my PSB dashboard, and we'll be able to see what's happening in our businesses, all from that one dashboard. So it's not like with other businesses in the past. If you wanted to diversify, you'd have to learn a whole new system. You'd have to learn a whole new model. And really the only difference is that widget that we're offering to the customers.
Yeah, so if you own all 7 brands, you essentially with one dashboard have all access, making sure you take advantage, right? Of every homeowner can use all 7 services, so why not offer it? So that's wow, that's a huge plus. Just shifting gears a little bit. So, obviously we talk to a lot of corporate executives, a lot of first-time business owners. They're looking at franchising, trying to figure it all out. What's out there? So obviously we spend a lot of time figuring out their needs. A lot of times they'll ask what's hot. Obviously, what's hot changes on a monthly basis. We want what's sustainable and what matches what is a good fit for them. So home services has just exploded, and in talks with your company and just in general, that's just an area I just see continuing to grow as people take more advantage of their homes. Can you talk to us a little bit how, with COVID, how that's affected the business, what growth, and not numbers wise, but just like what you've seen in general with, the demand for home services?
Sure. Absolutely. So like I mentioned earlier, the more time my wife spends in the house, the more these projects start stacking up. So 2020 was actually a really wonderful year for our franchisees. It was a wonderful year for us from a growth perspective from PSB, but for our immediate franchisees, when we talk about individual unit performance, it was a really wonderful year. Now, there were some hiccups. March and April, everybody was trying to figure out where things were going, but immediately after that, all of our services were named as essential services. So beyond that, once we took a few key steps, we made sure that we were offering things like online estimates or virtual estimates, for all of our brands, minimizing touch exposure. Even with Made-Right, our cleaning company, we have this wonderful product that you kind of fog yourself into a house and fog yourself out, and it sanitizes and makes sure that everyone's safe. So some really wonderful things happened from that side of the business, from a unit performance model. But the other side of it too is our non-glamorous brands now became quite a bit more attractive. I've been in home services for the past 10 years, and it was always odd because I'd say, okay, well, thank you for giving me 30 minutes. I just am asking for 30 minutes of your time. I know this is not what you ever dreamt about, but now it's changed. I think people are realizing the value in having a home service business that doesn't have brick and mortar, that doesn't have a lot of overhead or a lot of moving parts or a significant number of employees. So that's been attractive. And then frankly, with the stack or the own the home process that we have, it's opened up opportunities to franchisees that we maybe wouldn't have spoke to before. So that person that was maybe interested in a gym or a restaurant or something like that, they got a little skittish on
Right.
maybe spending their money in an area like that. And now they're looking at saying, okay, well, I get this little one, but I want more. So how do I make something more than what we would do with one of your typical brands? And that's really been the catalyst for this own the home product.
Right. Yeah, that is a very good point, because with what was going on, people got a little nervous
Mm-hmm.
with real estate, right? You look at gyms, health and fitness, and they weren't certain with, obviously there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we
Yeah,
didn't know how long we were going to be in this, right?
sure.
Glimmering light, but it's a light. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where they said, let's shift gears. And what I noticed personally was, and I'm not recommending everyone go to service. It's based,
Mm-hmm.
once again, I run my business. It's case by case, and we want to make sure it's the right fit. But then they realize, wait a second, for the total investment range that the franchise was telling me, I can buy 3 territories or
Mm-hmm.
3 brands for the price of one, because of the build outs and obviously the inventories and everything else. So it was eye opening for the people that never considered it. They always said, okay, well, I see these restaurant chains constantly on my drive home.
Mm-hmm.
So they just had that. The interest level was retail, and that's kind of what they went in. So it definitely opened their eyes up to additional possibilities. So I'm listening in, and I'm like, wow, this all makes sense. I see the demand for home services. Check, right.
Mm-hmm.
I see there's a huge benefit, premium service brands and how they run their business. There's so many things that, you got that dashboard for all the brands. You have the franchisor supporting you, but I know nothing about whatever the service is. I know 360 painting. I know nothing about painting. What else you got? What do you say to people that don't have experience in that particular industry?
I'll actually tell you, we prefer it.
Mhm.
As crazy as this sounds, we want you to be the worst painter, garage door technician, whatever the case may be.
Right.
What we found is the biggest burden to scaling and the biggest burden to attaining your goals, largely was coming down to the fact that people were getting too involved in the
Mhm.
business. And I know that may sound strange, but with any of our franchisees, we don't want them doing any of those activities.
Mhm.
We don't want you painting. We don't want you, going out and picking up a dumpster for Rubbish Works. We don't want you power washing with Renew Crew. So what we found is we're looking for those executives. We want a business owner. We don't want a technician. Almost to the point to where if you said, "Hey, I got a guy. He really loves woodworking. I think he'd be really interested in Handyman Pro." At that point, I may say, "Hold on,"
Mhm.
because if he wants to do that, he could start a handyman business on his own and be his own handyman.
Right.
What we're looking for is someone to run it as an executive model, someone to watch the P&Ls, someone to. We have weekly goal set and review calls with our business coaches, with our franchisees. We
Mhm.
want them to focus on those weekly calls. What do we
Mhm.
need to do next in order to achieve our 5 and our 10-year business plan? Um, Really, we want them looking at hiring, watching the marketing
Mhm.
spend, doing things like that, as opposed to going out and executing the work. Frankly, if they're going out and doing the work, um, there was a disconnect on what our model is at that point. That is not our expectation by any means.
So it sounds to me as that, if you have someone that is interested, right, going in this direction with the 7 brands, the 7 brands kind of run similar, right? The end product is going to be a little bit different, obviously, if it's power washing or if it's painting or what have you. So figuring out each one is going to be slightly different. So taking a look almost at their skill sets, interests, and try to kind of figure out, okay, assuming for argument's sake, all seven brands have territory available in New
Mm-hmm.
Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That now we start, like, I guess, what do you start looking at for that person that loves the premium service brands but can't figure out
Which one?
which
Yeah.
brand, which franchise, trying to
So
get it
we're gonna,
out.
yeah, we're gonna look at a variety of different things. We're gonna look at, how much time does the franchisee have? Are we
Mhm.
looking for somebody that can make a 20-hour a week time commitment? Are we looking at somebody that wants to dive in with both feet and give it a full 40 hours a week? We look at the, what would they like to accomplish out of this? There are some people that are very tied into what they do. What the product that they're offering is important to them. And so we have other brands that are sort of product based, or they want to make a change. They want to be eco-friendly, or whatever the case may be. We'll look at whatever the hot buttons are for that person and match them with the brands. Because really what we want them to be is we want them to be passionate about what they do. And I know you're going to, a lot of people are probably rolling their eyes and say, how could I be passionate about a garage door business or a junk hauling business?
Right.
What we want them to be is we want them to be proud. We want them to be able to go to a chamber of commerce, to go to a real estate office, to introduce themselves. But we have to make sure that it's the right fit. Even when we go through the process with our candidates, it's a mutual evaluation process. We're going to tell you exactly what it is. We're going to tell you where the opportunities lie. We're going to tell you exactly what we expect out of our franchisees. And if that's a good fit with us, wonderful. If it's not, great. Well, then we just helped you check off a box. Now I know what I don't want. And that's why, having pros like yourself, that really helps in that process. We're not trying to make everyone a PSB franchisee. We would love to find that right brand and help them find what is the right fit for them and their family.
Awesome. Very well said. I couldn't agree with you more. And yes, I was personally in the cleaning business for many, many years. That is not the intention. That was not what I was looking for. That wasn't they called it the sexy franchise. It was a necessity. It was a necessity business, and business did well because surgery centers needed to get clean, regardless if we were in a recession or not, or the stock market was down 50%, did not make a difference. Surgeries needed to get done. And just like, as I mentioned, not the first business maybe you would even think of. Now this has all been extremely helpful. So I guess the question is, what's new? What's the future of premium service, or what can you disclose? Are you looking to expand with brands, or give us the inside scoop? What can you fill us in on?
Yeah, well, we know what we're good at. We know we're good at home services. We're constantly looking at our innovations, or not innovations. There's only one way to clean a toilet. But we're always looking at our systems and our technologies and how can we make it better for our franchisees. Also, we're looking at, how can we make our franchisees more profitable?
Right.
And sometimes that's very simple by saying, hey, there's this new estimating piece that's out there. Or maybe it's looking at the business model itself and saying, hey, if we put more of an attention on this. I think what's exciting about premium service brands is, we're agile. We're looking to better it for our franchisees. And, where I think typically in franchising, people will look to chase revenue. We're looking to chase profitability. And the reason for that is we want to get in with a franchisee that gets excited, wants to be with us. And the better we can do for them early on, the better that our relationship's going to be with them further. So we're looking at other ways to supplement other bolt-ons onto the business. For example, with Renew Crew, one of our newer brands that focuses on exterior cleaning. Window washing is now going to be a part of the service offering that we're given there. We're constantly looking at other brands, but I'll tell you right now, it's going to have something to do with the house. That's where we need to stay in our lane. Just like we tell our franchisees, let's follow the model. We're doing the same too. We need to follow our model. We know what we're good at, and let's continue to innovate with new brands that hopefully will be coming on by the end of the year that I can't speak about. But we're also always looking to see how can we add additional revenue streams for our franchisees, whether that's in a business or whether that's within the brands themselves.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and truly, as you mentioned, own the home, right? Take over all the services related, and kind of back to my first point. I know for myself, it's not all about, well, who gave you the best estimate. It's who showed up, who was professional. Because I know for me, half the contractors, or anytime I need a service, don't even show up. And if they do, I get a quote handwritten, or a text. I'm like, well, what does this include? So I know. From what I've seen, that level of professionalism across the board, it just makes makes it so much easier. It's a pleasure to do business, with premium service on any brand versus some of the other companies I personally have dealt with. No, this was awesome. I'm trying to think what else didn't we touch on?
And I can add to this too. So not only do we want to have that trust, we're tracking that trust as well. Mm-hmm. So we're sending out as a system, we send out surveys post service, and we're going to ask them, how did you find us? What did you think of us? Give us that score. And one thing I'll add to that is so across our brands, we're averaging somewhere around 80 to 85% in terms of a net promoter score. And I know there's a whole formula to how to figure that out. But what I've seen is world class is going to be somewhere around 60%.
Oh, wow.
And so here we are, we're well above that. And I think that's for a lot of factors. One, I think we have wonderful products. We have, great providers. But I also think part of it has to come in with the fact that there's really talented competitors that are out there that we're dealing with. And to your point, exactly, we show up, we've got uniforms, we've got trucks, we check all the boxes. A lot of our competitors are just a dude with a pickup truck and a toolbox. And so it's when you add the social media, the digital marketing size of it, the call center, it's just a professional feel from start to finish.
Yeah, it sounds to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's been a long day today. Maybe I'm looking at it, but when I look at it, I take a step back and say, okay, premium service brands, 7 brands, all home service. But in reality, when I kind of peel it back, it's a business, that has their systems in place, but it's also it's almost in a way a technology marketing company.
Exactly.
In a way, meaning this system, you have this dashboard, you have the call center, which obviously utilizes technology, turnkey marketing. You can really pull out any business, right? I mean, obviously the specialty, and as you mentioned, staying in your lane, it's a home service business. But in reality, you can add on another 20 brands. They're all run exactly the same way. They're utilizing the technology. They're getting the customers essentially the same way. So it's almost like a technology machine. I mean, that's kind of how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, and we're always looking to better that machine. You're exactly right. It's just that widget, and I think it's important to focus on what that widget is. But if even from an employer's perspective, now you don't have to hire somebody to answer the phones for you. Now you don't have to worry about missing jobs. All of these things are all going to be done through these technologies to help make sure that you're offering a consistent product, quick returns, because frankly, with home services, not only is there the trust component, but the first person to end up on that driveway, a lot of times is going to be the one, as long as they're offering a fair price and can exude that trust. They're going to be the ones that get that job. So speed to action is also a key component that we'll add to it.
And the call center, I think, is the secret sauce in a way, because if I call someone up, they don't pick up the phone, I go to the next search on Google. So I think that's huge. And now, you have a salesman going out, and just say that franchisee owns just three of the 7 brands. They can essentially talk about all 3, in one conversation, right? I mean, it kind of simplifies it. You're not sending 3 separate salespeople. I mean, everyone can be structured in a different way, but it sounds to me that you can consult. There's some synergies there and utilize the same people.
Well, and even to the point to where even if there would be a sister brand sharing the same territory as you,
right,
we can market to that sister brand. So let's raise all ships with the tide. Right. And that's really where this own the home, and we even have a platform called Home One, where there's websites and all that other stuff, that joint marketing activities, postcards that are sent out to everybody. So even then, even if it's not your sister brand, if it's a neighboring franchisee, we're going to, again, that goal of raising all ships with the tide is an active marketing campaign that we have.
Wow, that's awesome. See, I learn everything. Every time I have a call, I think I know it all, and I don't, obviously. But on every call, just had an interview a couple hours ago on exit strategies on businesses, and I'm like, why the hell didn't I talk to you before I sold my business? It would have saved me. This was all black before the sale, and I said it completely stressed me out. I didn't know any better. I didn't know someone like you existed, and unfortunately, I met him afterwards. So that's another episode. Really, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about exit strategy. I'm just using his show. So
right.
And maybe when I show premium service, I'm just going to show this episode because obviously, you're going to know the brand and what's to come and can answer all those questions. So, Luke, I really appreciate anything else that we maybe didn't mention on the show. How if someone is interested in home service, how can they get a hold of you or get more information?
No, I would say if they go to your website, go to any of your information, you'd be more than happy to put us in touch. And frankly, again, look at our business. We would love to welcome you as a premium service brand franchise. But there are so many opportunities that are out there that I couldn't emphasize more. Finding someone, working through you to try and figure out what that right brand is, and between the combination of you and I, will help find the right franchise for the right person.
I appreciate that. Yeah, for anyone listening in, we always dig a little bit deeper, figure out, from scratch what the ideal business is, and then I will put you personally in touch with Luke to schedule that next call. Should that be a right fit for what you're looking for? So, Luke, I really, as always, really appreciate you spending the time. We'll definitely be talking here in the next few weeks when this goes live. And have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.